7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Okay, we're nearing the end. It's going to be a recap of Umbrella Academy Season 2, Episode 9. Okay, it was kind of bittersweet, I guess. Okay, so they're still, Allison, Klaus, and Diego, they're still hiding behind the desk, trying to figure out how they're going to approach Vanya. So Diego and Klaus are going back and forth. Klaus is like, I'm not a hero. I'm sexy trash. That's how he described himself. And he has his flask out, and so he's drinking, and he's just like, at this point, he's useless. So while Diego and Klaus were going back and forth, Allison was the first person to jump up. It's like, okay, she made the first attempt, almost made it, and was blown back. She was knocked out. So Diego tried to go forward. He realized he wasn't going to make it, and then he started calling out for Klaus. Klaus is, trying to give himself a pep talk himself up, and he made it all the way to the door, but he couldn't make it any further, and now he's knocked out. So all three of them are now incapacitated. Then you see Ben. Ben walks in, and he was able to walk into the room. So we flash to Luther and old number 5. Okay. So they're walking and talking. The older version of number 5, he's walking further ahead. And no, actually they were walking side by side initially, and number 5 was like, just let me finish what I need to finish on the grassy knoll, and then we can move forward. And so behind them you can see the younger number 5. He's clearly having some issues. He's talking to himself. The effects are really starting to show now. And so eventually the older number 5, he ends up walking further ahead. And so the younger number 5 was like, so you guys are planning to kill me, right? And so Luther, he's a terrible liar. So he's like, no. He's like, why would you say that? He's like, because I am him, and that's what I would do. Right? And so they're talking, and Luther was like, well, I wouldn't be killing you because you guys are the same, and he'll go back and do the whole thing. And number 5 was telling him, okay, you clearly only respect older people with authority, so I'm going to tell you, you should believe me, because actually I might be in a younger vessel, but I'm actually 14 days older than him. So at this point, number 5 just looks like he's tweaking, right? He just looks like a junkie, right? So Luther's like, oh, okay, all right, well, let's just kind of focus on what's going on here. And so the handler, so Lila is so Lila goes into the office where her mom, she's getting this tailor dress made for her takeover. She's priming herself. She's going to be the most powerful person in this organization, and she, has her dress and all the stuff going on, right? And so her mom, Lila, told her that actually she already knew that Diego was nowhere to be found. Like, he was only here a few minutes and he already flew the coop. Now, what are you going to do about that? And Lila's like, no, it's not like that. And, he's around here somewhere. And so Herb comes in, and he tells them that basically Diego threatened him, and that he'd help him escape. So now her mother's like, okay, so what are you going to do about it? So she's like, what are you saying? You expect me to kill him? She was like, well, basically she put the ball on her, because she said, you knew what the ramifications were going to be. She was like, well, wait a minute, so was this a test? She was like, honey, everything is a test. So while they're going back and forth, AJ, he's in this little fishbowl, and Herb is standing near the fishbowl, and AJ kind of spells out this number. It's number 743. And so Herb sees it, and then of course she, tells everybody they need to leave the office. And so she talks to her and basically tells her that I'm about to ascend to, to the highest position that you could have, and I need to make sure that I can trust you always, all the time. And it was a threat. She was basically threatening her, like, you know what, this mother-daughter thing is cute, but if I have to choose between what I want and you, and you're standing in the way of what I want, then it's really not a choice. So basically, she's like, yeah, you can always depend on me today. And she know I'm crazy. So she, okay, yeah, I see where you come from. We're here now. We are here. Okay. So, so Herb is now in the records room. So it was obviously a file number. And so he finds the file, he tears some page out. We don't know what the page is at this point. So, so Ben walks into the room, and he kind of goes in like he possessed Vanya. He goes into her, and he is now walking around. He's trying to find her. So at this point, Sissy walks into Harlan's room, and Harlan, he doesn't have like that blue glow like Vanya does. He looks really pale, but he says like the blue eyes that are like luminescent. It was still weird. And so she walks in, and she's trying to figure out what's wrong with him, and then he starts calling out for Vanya. Carl walks in, and he's like, what the hell did she do? What did y'all do to my son? He snatches Harlan up and puts him in the back seat, and of course Sissy is behind like, what are you doing? And he's something I should have done a long time ago. He's like, put him in the car. He's about to take poor Harlan to an institution or something and leave him. And so of course Sissy wasn't playing that game, so by the time he got the car backed out and turned around, Sissy was standing there with the shotgun and basically like, you need to get my son out of this car. You're not taking him anywhere. So Herb and Lila. So Herb is coming up from the records room, and Lila confronts him like, what is going on? Where is Diego? And so he admitted that he helped him escape so he could help his family. And he said, there's something you need to see. And so he ends up he hands her this piece of paper. So she reads the piece of paper and she gets emotional. Still at this point, we have no idea what's on this piece of paper. So old number 5, he's setting up for the shot. So he's near the gate, and the young number 5 and Luther there a little ways behind, they're standing there talking. And so young number 5 has decided it's gonna be him or me. So he I guess tried to teleport himself to get the jump on the older number 5, but the older number 5, they're the same people, so they think alike. So he moved out of the way, and now the older number 5 is behind the younger number 5, and then Luther's trying to tell them, okay, we need to stop this. So the younger number 5 ends up kicking Luther in the nuts. So Luther is temporarily incapacitated, and so now older number 5 and younger number 5 are going at it. They're going at it, and so from a distance, all people can see is like this flashing blue lights just bouncing from one side to the next, but it's them like bouncing back and forth, right? Fighting. So that went on for a minute. So Ben actually, he goes into Vanya's, I guess the dream or vision she was having, I don't know, where she appeared on the steps, and then she walked down the steps and walked into the dining room where everybody was sitting down. So he's down on the steps. He walks into the dining room, but at this point, it's completely empty, and the only thing on the table is a white violin. So he looks into the violin, and he can see Vanya. So he goes in, and Vanya is kind of huddled up in the corner, and she was like, she finally remembers everything that happened, and how she talked about how she caused this mass explosion, how she almost killed killed Allison and all of them. And Ben is basically telling her, she was like, I don't understand, why am I like this? Why can't I control myself like the rest of you? And Ben basically told her that our father was so terrified of, your powers and what they could be, that instead of training you on how to use and control them, he basically just denied them altogether. And it's not all your fault, because you never got the opportunity to learn how to use your powers. But now, things are different. You have a choice now. You have your family out there. They're trying to help you. And, basically we need to help you get together. And it's not, he basically was trying to put her at ease, and which is true. Everything he told was true. And so she got her to the point where she was ready to go back. The downside is, Ben started to deteriorate in front of her, and she's like, okay, well, what's going on? I don't know if it was because she was so powerful. He was basically disintegrating before her eyes, and he was like, well, I'm not going to be able to go back with you. And so she was like, oh my God, am I killing you? He said, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I died 19 years ago. So all this time that I've had with, Klaus, and it's been basically gravy. And so she wanted her to pass a message on to Klaus, which he whispered in her ear. We don't know what that message is at this point, but at this point, Ben is no more. Okay. So she wakes up, and eventually Carlin, he comes to, because he was still kind of in this trance-like state. So he comes to, and he gets out of the car. And so when he got out of the car, no, at this point, Carl got out of the car, and him and Sissy are going back and forth. And he was under the impression that they had this great marriage before Vanya came, and how she's the bane of their existence. She's the cause of all the issues. And she basically said, no, she wasn't the cause of all our issues. We had issues. We just lied about them so much that we basically created this false fantasy of us having this great family. And then he was like, I was faithful to you. I took care of you. I never blamed you for our son. Like she really had any issue over anything to do with their son being born artistic. But he felt like, I never blamed you for that. I didn't leave you. And so that's loving and the whole thing. And I'm just like, you are a piece of work. And so that's when Harlan gets out of the car. And at this point, Sissy told her, he started saying something to Harlan, and she said, no, you leave him out of this. She tries to send Harlan into the house. Carl wants him to come to him. So Harlan goes over to his mom, and while she's temporarily distracted, Carl lunges at her, grabs the gun goes off, the bullet hits Harlan, bounces off of Harlan, and goes and basically kills Ray, goes through his chest and kills Carl. So now Carl is dead, and they don't really know what's happening, what's going on. So Lila goes into the office to confront her mom with this piece of paper. And so she said, no, I finally found out who killed my family. Because initially, when you saw the episode, I don't remember them showing the face of the person that killed her family. It was number 5, obviously the older version of number 5. And AJ signed the kill order. So she's now her mom is now taking this opportunity to kind of throw Diego under the bus too. So she feel like we can just kill 2 birds with 1 stone. She can go after number 5, but then she could also knock off Diego, and he won't be a problem anymore either. He won't be a distraction for her. So she now has now convinced Lila that Diego knew about 5's murdering her family, and that was why he was there, because he was trying to get information so he could hide it from her. But the thing is, obviously, okay, you drugged him, you lied to him, you drugged him, you tricked him, and you brought him to that organization. He didn't have anything to do with that. But for some odd reason, in her state of mind, she has convinced herself that Diego came there to get this information to keep it from her. So now Diego and number 5 is on her hit list. Okay, so both 5, they're still fighting. Luther's trying to get control of the situation. Eventually there's this big explosion between the 2 of them. They're both knocked down. Luther grabs the gun and basically like, I just shut up, everybody to stop talking. They are basically the old Luther's trying to number 5 trying to get him to kill the young number 5. The young number 5 was trying to get him to kill the old number 5, and eventually he ends up knocking the number 5 down. Told the young number 5 to open the portal. This was the portal that he used to go back to go. I don't want to say go back, but to go to 2019. And So the old number 5, he opened the portal and he wanted the older number 5 to go through. And so he basically explained to him and all this technical jargon on how they made a mistake. And so, while all this stuff was going on, because this portal is open, it's like sucking stuff in and blowing stuff around, all this other stuff. Luther ends up getting hit in the head with the damn fire extinguisher, and he's temporarily knocked out. And so both number 5s make a mad dash for the time traveling case. They're fighting for that. Luther gets up. He kicks the old number 5 into the portal. Unfortunately, part of the case went into the portal as well. And now the device is damaged. They are not going to be able to use that device. So now number 5 is like, damn it, he is just sick of his family, okay, and their muck-ups. But Luther is like, oh, well, no need to thank me for saving your life. Vanya, she eventually comes to. She's, is able to get out of the. She get the straps off and all that, and she runs to see about Diego, Allison, and Klaus. They're fine, but Diego still has in his mind that they was able to avert this issue. Which they feel precipitated the war with Russia, and so now he feels like he could still stop his father from assassinating Kennedy. Okay, so Allison tries to stop him. He is determined he's going to do this. So you see, guy gets out of the truck, out of the car, walks over. You see Diego running towards this guy. He knocks the man over and realizes it's not his father. It was a decoy. And the guy gives him a note saying, I told you so. So he was basically saying, I was never the person that was going to assassinate Kennedy. That wasn't me. But now he's saying, I told you so. And so now he's like, okay, what? Okay, so what the hell now? So what now? What's now going to cause this, that's going to spark this war? And so their father, he arrives, so now we're back at the tiki bar. All of these men of power are sitting around waiting for him. He arrives, and he's upset because whatever deal they had, Kennedy was not supposed to be killed. And they feel like, so he now feels betrayed. And he told them that they never contact him again and that he was out. And so the men in the group were like, well, of course we're going to contact you because we need your technology. So he's now they're now trying to blackmail him like, if you don't give us what we want, then we'll tell the people who you really are. And so next thing you know, Hargreeves, he walks down and he starts tugging at the back of his head. People are like, what the hell is he doing? So he pulls his face off. Okay, so Hargreeves is some kind of alien. And now all you hear are these men screaming and stuff being torn and all this. You don't actually see what's going on. But we could just assume that none of those men made it out alive, okay? So Daddy Hargreeves have his own secret. Okay, so the handler, next thing you know, she's in her office and she gets a phone call. Alarms are going off. She gets a call to the surveillance room. There was something she saw on that video that there was only one guy in there who I guess was monitoring what was going on. And she saw something on that video and she asked him if he'd shown anybody else. He said no. She ends up killing him and she ends up putting out a call that says, we want all of personnel to come in from the field. And next thing you know, it flashes on the screen and you see their Carl's farm, and you see the barn, and you see it's like this blue light that's going on. So we don't know what's going on with Harlan at this point, but there's something going on in that barn, and that's basically how this episode ends. We got one more to go, and I'm hoping that they don't let me down. So I'm going to end this here, and I will talk to you guys later.